1955. The good old days, right? World War II and the Korean War were over. The Cold War hadn't really heated up yet. The U.S. economy was on the upswing, and cultural icons were beginning to shape a generation. Our president was war hero Dwight David Eisenhower. The fledgling TV industry brought us I Love Lucy.
Here she comes.
And Captain Kangaroo. A singer you may have heard of was just about to rock our world.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, you're crying all the time.
Also in 1955, for the first time, In God We Trust was printed on our paper money. Meanwhile, in Southern California, a visionary storyteller named Walt Disney opened a theme park. Mr. Disney also began airing a TV show for kids. Anybody here remember Annette Funicello and Karen and Cubby and Darlene and all of the other Mouseketeers? One of the number one songs in 1955 was He by the McGuire Sisters.
He can turn the tides and calm the angry sea.
Closer to home in 1955, Ray Kroc's first franchise McDonald's opened at Blackstone and Shields in Fresno. Fresno's Storyland opened at Roding Park. 1955 was a year of new architectural style, of fun, of feel-good veneer in society. But beneath that veneer, hidden from the spotlight, were the ever-present but largely unaddressed issues of poverty, homelessness, narcotics, racism, and more. In some ways, 1955 was a year that began to shine a brighter light into the dark corners and raise issues that needed to be addressed. It was in 1955 that Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a bus to a white passenger. It was in 1955 that Pauline Baker Meyers saw a need in Fresno. And led by God, she founded a mission to homeless women and their children. She called that mission Evangel Home. Here's what Evangel Home looked like in 1955. And here, by God's grace and the generosity of His people, is what Evangel Home looks like today. We minister in the counseling center, in the apartment complex that houses our Crossroads and Community Connection programs, in the crisis home where homeless women and their children find emergency help. We also minister in the Learning Center and in the garden, primarily, but not exclusively, our alternative sentencing ministry. We want to ask what if Pauline Baker Meyers could be with us here tonight? What might she have to say to us?
1955. That was a long time ago, wasn't it? Well, I am here. A little older now, a little wiser. I remember Labor Day 1954. I do have to look at my notes. You don't mind, do you? My husband and brother were exhausted and felt a fishing trip was in order that day. After all, they had been working hard on the home, getting it ready. You see, there was a need here for a place for women and children who had no place to go for a variety of troubles. And I thought, God, why don't you do something? He said, Pauline, I created you. You can do something. I realized I could do something for women and their children, even if I just started. Me, a young very young woman, immigrated from Russia I only graduated from 8th grade. So off my husband and my brother went to catch fish, but God had other plans that day. Their boat capsized and they were gone. Now what, God? Ever make a deal with God? Well, I did. I said to him, I tell you what, God, you bring my husband's body home and I'll open the home. Guess what? He gave me a verse that day, and it was Luke 9:62, and it said, no one puts his hand to the plow and looks back. He's not fit to serve me. Oh, really? Okay. And guess what else he did? He brought my husband's body home. So I opened the home. And the legacy of the Evangel home began in 1955, and here we are 60 years later. Not by my doing, but the doing of many. 2 years later, in San Jose with my new husband, I remarried. I saw a need for many people there, and again I said, God, why don't you do something? And you know what he said? Pauline, I created you. You can do something. And again, I realized that if I could just start, and I did, the San Jose Rescue Mission was born and became one of the largest ever, but not by my doing, by the doing of many. Oregon later became my home, and another rescue mission began because, again, I asked God, why doesn't somebody do something? Well, there I was, this little person standing there who never, ever felt worthy. None of you ever felt that way, right? And I think I'd get the message by now that God could do and would do something through me if I just started. Well, I did, and another ministry was born and became a success, but not by my doing, by the doing of many. Well, 60 years have come and gone. Since that day we opened the pink door, so many lives have come through that door and left that door changed forever. And some came back through that door to serve, didn't they? I think about the next 60 years. I wonder, will somebody do something? You know, I got one of those smartphones my great-grandkids have. Yep. Now I get some of that really neat Christian music on there. And you know what? There's a song out there that a young man wrote. Yep. And he wrote that question. Wow, they sing that stuff now. It's nice. I'm going to read you the lyrics that Matthew West wrote. I even wrote his name down here. I woke up this morning and saw a world full of trouble. Thought, how'd we ever get so far down? How's it ever gonna turn around? So I turned my eyes to heaven and I thought, God, why don't you do something? Well, I just couldn't bear the thought of people living in poverty, children sold into slavery. The thought disgusted me, so I shook my fist to heaven. I've done that, have you? And said, God, why don't you do something? And he said, I did. I created you. If not us, then who? If not me and you? Right now, it's time for us to do something. If not now, then when? Will we see an end to all this pain? It's not enough to do nothing. It's time for us to do something. These words, I couldn't believe. I thought he wrote this 60 years ago. I'm so tired of talking about how we are God's hand and feet, but it's easier to say than to be. Live like angels of apathy who tell ourselves, it's all right, somebody else will do something. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm sick and tired of life with no desire. I don't want a flame, I want a fire. I want to be the one who stands up and says, I'm going to do something. We are the salt of the earth. We are sitting on a hill, but we're never going to change the world by standing still. No, we won't stand still. The Evangel home is the salt of the earth, the city on the hill. From paper and pencil and textbooks, well, they've got Wi-Fi and technology and ebooks, so learning can happen in the moment. From black and white paper, I saw they used to mail their newsletters. Guess what? They have Facebook and that Twitter to let you know what's happening and needed in an instant. I don't know how to tweet. From an 8th grade education to supporting staff and residents to go to college and learn communication and counseling skills more. I never went to college, but they do. From finding those mamas a job to supporting them in their new nonprofit business, 5 Gals Cleaning, which is only the start of something new. I know you're just like me, and you see all that trouble out there. It's no different than 60 years ago, trust me. We all pray hard, don't you? I pray. And I bet you even shake your fist at God on some days and ask him, God, why don't you do something? And you say, oh, I'm just a dot here in Fresno on the earth. What could I do? I never thought past that 1-minute decision. What if I found a place for these mamas and their kids to sleep? That the Evangel home would bring so many people to do the work and keep it going and grow the work and put their feet on their faith. There's a verse in the Bible. I bet you knew this. Romans 10:15. It says, how beautiful are the feet of those who bring the good news. I bet there's feet there just sparkling. But I'm standing here on my old feet that aren't so beautiful. So you can know that all you need to do, here's my words, start, stand, do. Put your feet on the ground. Others will follow. Don't be afraid, because I'm always amazed at how it happens. But let me tell you this one thing. In all, keep the sacred core and never touch it. Christ leads. That's their motto. Pay attention. Pray and listen. People care. That's you all. Be the one who stands up and says, I'm going to do something. Because lives will change. Watch and celebrate. Because Ephesians 1:5 is the thread running through the ties of each generation, each act of giving, each sacrifice that a volunteer makes, each day of work, each lives that comes to the home. We all were predestined to be adopted through Jesus Christ, just as I was. Because I am the grandniece of Pauline Baker Meyers. My name is Leslie Catron. I'm adopted by parents, a mother, a child of an immigrant from Moscow, the brother of the founder of the Evangel home that adopts women and children into its walls and leads them to the heart of Christ, as my parents did for me. And here at the Evangel home, they find a new family on earth and in heaven, all because of each and every one of you who make the decision to do something. Make your decision.